Footballtribeug channel. Welcome back to yet another broadcast. It's still goalless between Chelsea and Manchester United at halftime. That's what we're going to be looking at. But Aston Villa are already in a 2-0 lead thanks to Ezri Konsa as well as Boubacar Kamara, the goal scorers there for the home side. So Aston Villa look to be on course to win, but it's still a whole mountain to climb for Tottenham Hotspurs and as well as Chelsea on the other side, because Manchester United were surprisingly the better side for me in as far as that first half was concerned. So let's get to digest that and more. Looks like our audio is well set and good, pretty good. So yeah, I hope you guys are enjoying that action. We are in about the 80th minute for that game between Aston Villa and Tottenham Hotspurs, and Aston Villa are in a 2-0 lead thanks to goals by Ezri Konsa as well as Boubacar Kamara. But of course, it was also goalless by halftime between Tottenham Hotspurs and Aston Villa, although I thought Tottenham Hotspurs did squander a couple of chances in the opening half, including forcing Emiliano Martinez into a save by Wilson Odegaard and of course what's his name, Antonin Kinski. They are also forced into a couple of saves on the other side of the aisle in as far as the first half was concerned. But in the second half, it was in the 59th minute, a corner is floated in. Oli Watkins heads it back up around the 16-yard box, and then Ezri Konsa latches onto it to score to give Aston Villa the lead there. And then in the 73rd minute, Morgan Rogers did provide the assist for Boubacar Kamara to slot the ball beyond the reach of Antonin Kinski there to make it 2-0. So remember, our prediction was a 3-1 victory for Aston Villa. Maybe the scoreline may not be that, but at least it looks like Aston Villa are on course to go ahead and win this particular game. So if you're just joining us, kindly like the broadcast. Do let me know where you're joining us from. Yes, Chetan Singh says hello, bro. Hi, Chetan Singh. Where are you joining us from? Kindly let me know where you're joining us from. Please like the broadcast and also consider subscribing to the channel, please. If you're new to the channel at Footballtribeug, please consider subscribing and help us to continue growing our community. Thank you so much for the love and support from India, from the UK, from Pakistan, from Italy, from Brazil, from Nigeria, from Kenya. Much appreciated. Chetan says hello, bro. He says where are you from? I'm from Kampala, Uganda, and it's about 10 minutes past 11 p.m. in the night. That's where we are coming to you live from Kampala, Uganda. That's in East Africa, if you've ever heard of it. Earlier on, we did have a live broadcast still prior to the kickoff of these particular games that we'll be looking at, and we had a couple of people. I need to remember some of their names. I need to check them out here. Yes, we had Habib Al Nassar, we had Boss Royal was with us, we had Daniel Tuton, we had Mariam, Omuto was with us. Daniel and Mariam both being Liverpool fans. We had Mr. 200 IQ 86, a Tottenham Hotspur fan. You say love Uganda. I'm from India. Thank you so much. India has been quite kind to me. They've really supported me. They join my broadcasts. They listen to me. They engage with me. We always have a good interaction with them. So what part of India are you from? So it's been a lot of good love and support from India, and I really appreciate the love and support. And yeah, of course, even my fellow people from Uganda have been quite supportive. My colleagues, Paul Chigozi, Gregory, Omwami Isaac, Kato Morris, they've all been supportive. there. You say, we love you, bro. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Chetan. So, like I was saying, in regards to that, I would want to ask Chetan, is there any football team that you support or you love or anything like that? Okay, from what I understand is that cricket is bigger, is so big in India, so I do not know. I do know there is football also there in India, but at least cricket is the much bigger sport. So I'll be interested in hearing from you whether there's any team you support. As far as the Chelsea Manchester United game goes, I thought Manchester United in the opening 20 minutes for me were arguably the better side, and overall, even overall in the first half, they looked to be the better side. They dominated possession to a tune of 54%. As compared to Chelsea's 46%, that's according to live score standard. You say cricket is religion in India. Pretty much, pretty much. I think, and I hope you do not get offended if I mention this, but India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, those four countries, and I don't know, is West Indies a country? I do not know. Somebody correct me. But West Indies, that cohort there, they really love their cricket. They really enjoy their cricket. So it's been really, really, it's heartwarming for me to hear from somebody in India, even when I do not understand cricket that much. But I do appreciate the fact that Indians, Pakistanis, Bangladesh people love that sport pretty so much. Here in Africa, I think South Africa is one of those countries that are really good at cricket. Uganda does try. They played at the T20 a couple of times. Kenya tries, and Namibia. Yeah, Namibia is one of those good countries, and that kind of thing. As far as cricket is concerned, of course, even the UK is good. Ben Stokes. That's I think one of the people that I do know that is good in that England national team for cricket. Anyways, like I was saying, I felt Manchester United. We can see this is Swedish bot. Swedish bot. Hi, Swedish bot. Are you from Sweden? Kindly let me know. South Africa is a good team. That's Chetan. Yes, South Africa is a good cricket team. Swedish short. Are you from Sweden? Kindly let us know what country you are from, and also kindly like the broadcast and also consider subscribing to the channel, because I'm seeing you here for the first time really, a Swedish bot. So Man United were surprisingly dominant in this game for the opening 45 minutes. Even the possession said just as much, as well as some of their efforts, including that goal scored by Harry Maguire in the 16th minute, although it was cancelled out by VAR as a result of an offside, but he scored that effortlessly well, as if he was a prime striker. And given that it wasn't a set piece play, I did wonder to myself how Harry Maguire ended up in the Chelsea box in that moment and to go on to score, because he runs beyond Rasmus Højlund, who missed the ball or who couldn't reach the ball, and it lands on him and he scores past Robert Sanchez, and it was 1-0. At least that was the expectation, but the goal was cancelled out by VAR. On the other side, Chelsea, as the first half wore on, they tried to get back into it, including a 25th minute strike by Richie James that hit the upright. So that was the kind of game. But overall, I thought Manchester United were the dominant side. Chelsea had one shot on target. United 0, because the other goal doesn't count. Shots off target, Chelsea had 3, United had 1. Then blocked shots, Chelsea had 3, United 0. But in terms of overall game domination, let me see. When it came to corner kicks, Chelsea had 4, as Manchester United had only 1. So in terms of attempts on goal, Chelsea have had it better, but United overall have dominated play in a quite surprising style, given that we all expected them to be playing as the more reserved side, but they played as if it is Chelsea, the one that have a final to play on Wednesday at San Mamés, and yet it's Manchester United who will be playing Tottenham Hotspurs. Tottenham Hotspurs here being handed a beating. Of course, there are 2 goals down against Aston Villa. So, yes, Chetan, South Africa. that's it at that, as far as the Premier League is concerned. But let's continue to engage. Yeah, South Africa is a very, very good team in cricket. They are very good in cricket. They are very good in rugby. And then Namibia is also good in rugby, but they also do fairly well in as far as cricket is concerned. Uganda, rugby, yes, we try, and cricket, we try, but we're not really up there as the likes of South Africa. But for me, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, I think West Indies, England have really stood out in the last couple of years as far as cricket is concerned. So that's really good to know that some of you concur with those submissions on those countries. I don't know what happened to Swedish Short. I would have loved him to tell us where he is joining us from. I'm always interested in knowing where some of where our community members are coming from, what countries they are based in, because I've received a lot of support from different countries, like I mentioned. We've had people from the UK, we've had people from Brazil, Italy, India, Pakistan. I had somebody from Nigeria the other day and somebody from Ghana. Of course, my fellow people back in Uganda. In as far as live podcasts, I've not yet met any Kenyan, but I hope Kenyans will also join in and support as we continue. But that game between Aston Villa and Tottenham has entered the 92nd minute, but it's still 2-0 in favor of Aston Villa. There goes by Boubacar Kamara as well as Enzri Konsa, giving the home side the lead. Remember, we had predicted them to win this game by 3-1. And there's still, a chance that a third goal could be scored. There's still a chance. Who knows? Although you feel that Aston Villa are going to try and play this one out, try and hold it out for a 2-0 victory, which may as well be enough for them to go to fourth place, provided Chelsea do not win their game against Manchester United. Meanwhile, we also predicted that Chelsea would win against Manchester United by 2-1, but that remains to be seen. We are waiting to see what kind of result that will be in as far as this particular fixture is concerned. So, yeah, then pretty much that's it, of course, as far as halftime really goes. And then tomorrow there's plenty of fixtures that will be coming your way in as far as the Premier League's match day. Sorry, no, tomorrow there's no fixtures for match day 37. Remember, this is match day 37, and the reason as to why Chelsea, Man United are playing is because, and as well as Tottenham, Aston Villa, is because Tottenham and Man United are playing next week on Wednesday in the finals of the UEFA Europa League. They are looking for a piece of silverware, regardless of their league form that has been so poor, so poor. I mean, in as far as this season is concerned. But tomorrow we do have the finals of the FA Cup. That's at 6:30 p.m. between Crystal Palace and Manchester City at Wembley Stadium. There won't be Premier League fixtures, but Premier League fixtures will come on Super Sunday, I think. Wait, I stand to be corrected on that. Sorry about that. Apologies on that one. But fixtures will be coming on Sunday. Yes, majority of those fixtures will come on Sunday, and then on Monday, Tuesday, as well as the other sequent fixtures. But majority of those fixtures will come on Sunday because Everton and Southampton will be in the early kickoff. West Ham up against Nottingham Forest, and then we'll have Brentford against Fulham, Leicester City against Ipswich, Arsenal against Newcastle late kickoff. And then on Monday we'll have Brighton up against Liverpool, Crystal Palace against Wolves on Wednesday, while Man City will have their date with Bournemouth. I think that will be on Wednesday. Sorry, that is still on Tuesday. So that, but as far as this game is concerned, of full time, there are just about 2 minutes to play because it was 6 minutes of added time between Aston Villa and Tottenham Hotspur, and it is still 2-0 in favor of Aston Villa. Manchester United, for the Manchester United game, we are back for the second half. In that, we are in the 46th minute. So that action is equally returning. So I'll let you guys go enjoy that action, and we'll be back at full time when that game between Manchester United and Chelsea finishes. That will engage more to discuss the whole game at full strength, and also I look forward to other things in regards to football, in regards to transfers. We'll get to engage maybe for a bit longer at full time. But once again, thank you so much for the love and support. Chetan Singh, thank you so much for joining us. Swedish bot, thank you so much for the love and support. Hey, Len Meet, yes, Len Meet says hi. Len Meet, I did miss you for a while. You've been AWOL. I mean, I missed you. You disappeared on me. What happened? What has been going on in your life? Did you have something going for you? I've missed you for quite a while. Really, it's been a while since I last seen you on our broadcasts. But thank you for always returning whenever you can. Thank you so much for the love and support. Really much appreciated. I've been busy with stuff. Okay, I hope everything works well for you. I hope you do achieve some success in whatever it is that you're trying to pursue. I wish you nothing but all the best in your endeavors. But thank you for always supporting whenever you can spare the time to be with us here on Football Tribe UT for our respective broadcasts. Much appreciated. Yeah. So, but like I said, guys, let me let you go enjoy at least the second half of that fixture, and then we will meet at full time. That will be, I think, at about 11:10 or 11:15 thereabouts. That's when we'll meet. But if you're new to the broadcast, kindly consider subscribing to the channel and help us continue growing our community, continue engaging with our content. Turn on your notifications so that you can be notified every time we go live, because we do live broadcasts every day of the week, Monday to Friday, between 10 a.m. and 11 a.m. That's East African time. And then on Saturday, between 11 a.m. and midday, that's when we usually do our broadcasts. And yeah, and then every time there's a game or big games, we usually do our broadcasts before kickoff, sometimes at halftime as well as at full time, to give you what we make as we try to make sense of the action that we may have witnessed in the course of all that action. But for now, the game between Aston Villa and Tottenham has ended. Aston Villa have won that game by 2-0, and like I keep saying, goal scored by Enzo Konsa in the 59th minute, and then in the 73rd minute it was Boubacar Kamara. So that means that Aston Villa temporarily move to fourth on the Premier League table with 66 points, waiting for the result between Chelsea and Manchester United. Because it is still goalless, it means that Chelsea only add a point to the tally. We all know Manchester City will play on Tuesday, while Arsenal will be in action on Super Sunday against Newcastle. So that game will be coming your way on Super Sunday at 6:30 p.m. East African time, or 18:30 hours if you're a 24-hour clock reader. So maybe I should keep reading the clock in the 24-hour clock, so for the benefit of all our global audience, in as far as it is concerned. Guys, kindly like the broadcast and also consider subscribing if you're new to the channel. I can see there's about 10 of us on the broadcast, but we only have 4 likes. So kindly consider liking the broadcast, but also consider subscribing so that you can support our community to continue growing. But much appreciated. So very good result for Aston Villa. They managed to keep a clean sheet, which is really good for the goalkeeper in Emiliano Martinez. And in pursuit for the Golden Glove, it's Matt Sells of Nottingham Forest leading that tally with 13 clean sheets. Arsenal's David Raya has 12 clean sheets. So if you can keep 2 clean sheets in their remaining 2 games versus Newcastle and versus Southampton on the final day, then you could look to retaining the Golden Glove, which he won last season. I think with about what was it, 15 clean sheets or something thereabout. So other than that, Matt Sells could dethrone him, and he's been quite a very impressive goalkeeper this season. In as far as Nottingham Forest is as such to brilliance is concerned, because they are seventh on the Premier League table with 62 points, just 2 points behind Chelsea. And I think if anybody is praying that Manchester United beat up against Chelsea, or at least they draw, is none other than Nottingham Forest, because they want to secure a place of course, next season they'll be playing European football. I think that is as good as guaranteed, because you have Chelsea now. If Chelsea have two opportunities, if they win the Conference League, they qualify automatically for the Europa League, even if they do not finish. So yes, they qualify automatically for the Europa League, but remember, they are aiming to finish in the top 5 and then qualify directly for the UEFA Champions League. That's the objective. Will that be achieved? I mean, there's a lot to play for and a lot to lose in as far as that, the implications. Because like I've already said, the implications of finishing in a UEFA Champions League place is more financial, because there's a lot of money in the UEFA Champions League, at least in terms of the club revenues, in terms of what clubs get to earn. For example, this season, I think for every win, clubs have been getting 2.1 million euros for every victory, and then for every draw, they've been getting about 700,000 euros. So I mean, that's motivation. And then there's money you get for participation. Then for every stage you climb to, playoffs, round of 16, quarterfinals, semifinals, and eventually the finals. I think the winner gets about 25 million euros, and that kind of thing. So usually that does really well for club finances, and that's why Manchester United's primary goal is to at least win the UEFA Europa League and qualify for the UEFA Champions League, because their finances are in tatters. That's why the club has refused to purchase tickets for their staff to go at San Mamés next week on Wednesday to watch them in the Europa League final. And on that note, the manager, that is Ruben Amorim, has purchased tickets for at least 30 of his backroom staff. And according to reports, they'll be allowed to travel with 1 or 2 members of their family. And then I was watching online, or following a conversation online, and Eric Cantona, that's a Manchester United legend, then Patrice Evra, and then I do not remember the other former Manchester United player, pledged to also contribute for other backroom staff, Manchester United members, to go and watch their team, play in the finals of the Europa League and that kind of thing. So we'll wait to see how that spans out. But I thought, I mean, for example, when you look at PSG, not that PSG are a bigger club than Manchester United, but PSG are buying tickets for all their 600 staff. That's what the president of PSG said, Al Nassr, that you will be taking, all the 600, staff to the Allianz Arena to watch PSG in the finals, as they take on Inter Milan. It's called Nasser Al Khalifa. So he will take 600 of their staff, all the 600 staff of the club, to watch the finals. I mean, that's part of what the club gets to do for their staff. That's more like fringe benefits. It's like you being given a job and they say you get, paid leave, you get maybe a housing allowance, or will give you accommodation. Those are called fringe benefits, and a club at the size of Manchester United should be able to afford that. And then when you look at, they also did come out to say, according to reports from the UK, that Manchester United will not hold a trophy parade, top of the bus, through the city, should they win the UEFA Europa League, that they will look to do a barbecue or at Carrington. That's their training ground. And I'm like, maybe, is it out of shame, out of embarrassment for the poor season they've had domestically? But even if that were to be the case, winning a trophy, regardless of the size of the trophy, you ought to be proud of that. You ought to celebrate that. And I think for all the misery that United fans have had to suffer across the entire campaign, you give them that chance to, celebrate something, to feel happy and celebrate with some of the standout players who have had a good campaign in as far as that competition is concerned. Because when you look around, you cannot take it away from Harry Maguire for the competition, for the contribution he's had in the UEFA Europa League. You cannot take it away from the United Player of the Year in Bruno Fernandes, who has scored 7 goals and provided 4 assists in the Europa League alone. So really, I do not think that United should be looking to, take away that joy from the fans and that kind of thing. So guys, allow me wrap it here for now. And because that game between Manchester United and Chelsea is now in the 58th minute. And let me let you guys go enjoy. Okay, I'll be wanting to leave and then somebody sends a message. This is Safa. Is it Safa? Safa Ali says hi. Hi Safa, where are you from? Where are you joining us from? And what team do you support? I'm trying to see if I can, see your profile, your display picture. What country are you joining us from and what team do you support? But thank you for joining the broadcast and thank you for, engaging with us. Much appreciated for the love and support. Really, really lovely to see. You say you're from Turkey. You're from Turkey. Oh, that's impressive. You're the first person I've had from Turkey on the broadcast. Personally, I'm from Kampala, Uganda. That's in the eastern part of Africa. I don't know if you've heard about it. Also, sometimes referred to as the Pearl of Africa. That's where I am from. But thank you so much for joining us. Please consider subscribing to the channel and also liking the broadcast while you're still here. But thank you so much for the love and support. What do I know about Turkey? Some of the things I know about Turkey is, as far as football is concerned, is that, of course, they did host the 2000 finals of the UEFA Champions League that Liverpool won, beating AC Milan on penalties in the post-match, 3-all draw. Of course, Liverpool having to come from 3 goals down to, go ahead and win that one. AC Milan were under the tutelage of Carlo Ancelotti, a much young Carlo Ancelotti than the one we see today. Then Liverpool were under the charges of a much younger Rafael Benitez Maoudes, who had just joined the club. So, do you know any football teams from Turkey? Yes, Bazaspor, Antalyaspor, Besiktas, Fenerbahce. That's of course where Jose Mourinho is. What's the other team? There's another big team I'm forgetting. I'm forgetting. Trabzonspor. Forgive me if I mispronounce some of the names. Yes, Galatasaray, because I know it because Didier Drogba played there, and then they've played against my team, that is Arsenal, on numerous occasions in the UEFA Champions League, and then of course Victor Osimhen does play there. So what team in Italy do you support, Safa? What team in Italy do you support? I'd be interested in knowing what team you support in Italy. But yeah, Italy, very, very good country. I've heard some good things about Italy. One of the good things I've heard about them is the quality of their clothing. Because in Uganda, we had some years back, we had a brand called Turkish Garments. So they do make, So you say I love Inter. Oh, so you are an Inter Milan fan. Congratulations on reaching the finals of the UEFA Champions League. I hope you can go ahead and win it for the first time since 2010 when you beat up against Bayern Munich in the finals when you're still under the charges of Jose Mario Felix Mourinho at the time. That team that had Samuel Eto'o, that had Diego Milito, that team that had a Maicon, Julius Caesar in goal, as Wesley Schneider, that team. I hope Denzel Dumfries, Hakani Chanolokru, Rotaro Martinez, Marcus Thuram, Jan Sommer can help, bring back that glory. You say I support Fenerbahce from Turkey. So, okay, that's quite impressive. That's good. I must be honest, I've not followed the Turkish league that much, but I do follow it in bits here and there. I was watching an interview by Jose Mourinho. He was being questioned on how he picks his starting lineup, and he told the journalist or whoever was asking that I just toss coins in the names of players in the air, and whatever comes back to me is who I choose to put on. And of course, he was trying to be comical, typical Jose Mourinho style, and that's it. But that's quite good to hear that you do support Fenerbahce in the Turkish league, and I hope you guys go on to win a lot of silverware in that regard, in as far as Turkish football is concerned. You say there are rumors that Jose will join Manchester United at the end of the season as a replacement for Ruben Amorim. I wouldn't want to believe those rumors, not for 1 second. First of all, not that he cannot return to Manchester United, but remember he was at Manchester United and they sacked him and they brought the OB in Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. That was around December 2018, and it looked like it had not worked out, because I remember prior to the season that gets him sacked, he had requested for, I think, 3 players to be signed. I think a defender, a midfielder. I do not remember the other position play for the kind of player that they needed. But that was his request, and then the club refused to give him that. When they refused to give him that, they didn't perform well, and they ended up sacking him. But really, I do not expect him to be joining Manchester United. I treat that rumor as wild or just gossip. I think Jose Mourinho is weak against big teams. What do you mean weak against big teams? Like when he's managing big teams or when he's playing against big teams? Because I mean, he's a proven winner. I wouldn't want to believe that he's weak. Yes, maybe he needs to maybe change his philosophy here and there in as regards to how he goes about modern football, because football has changed a bit. But I think he's tried to be more adaptive and that kind of thing. So yeah, but I wouldn't really want to say that he's weak, that he's weak, or he doesn't manage big teams well. For a manager that guided FC Porto to a UEFA Champions League title in 2004, came to Chelsea and won 2 Premier League titles in 2005 and 2006, then returned and won it, I think, in 2015 for them still at Chelsea. Went to Inter Milan and won 2 league titles at the UEFA Champions League title. I mean, I wouldn't want to call that one weak. Went to Manchester United and won then the Europa League in 2017 as well as the Carabao Cup, and then, of course, got fired the following season of 2018, 2019. So I really wouldn't want to say that he's weak. You say Jose, Jose's national team material, nothing new. He can bring in any league, and Fenerbahce. Oh, maybe in that sense, I would be inclined to agree with you that maybe sort of club football is getting a bit out of hand for him. That he would need really fresh ideas for himself to sort of be back at par, maybe with the best that there is in the game. Oh, my voice freezes. Sorry about that. But I hope you can still hear me. So, like I was saying, maybe what Jose Mourinho, of course, like I think like most managers, maybe the best example I can use is maybe Sir Alex Ferguson, that Jose Mourinho needs to keep on reinventing himself. He needs on he needs to keep reinventing himself, because for all the many years that Sir Alex Ferguson was at Manchester United between 1986 to 2013, he kept on reinventing himself. You know, always looking out for the best players. If he played against a team and there was a player that really gave his team a lot of trouble, or a lot of grief in that game, he would be looking to sign that player and that kind of thing. So maybe Jose Mourinho, that's what he needs to do, to keep reinventing himself. Maybe he needs also to pick a leaf from the other manager I can speak about is Diego Simeone, because the Diego Simeone we watched in 2014 is the Diego Simeone of today. He's sort of adjusted his playing style to try and move with the modern game, or with the changes in the game. For example, they are no longer the defensively solid side that we knew them to be. That side that had Ada Turan, the side that had Gabi, Godin, Luis. Was it Luis Felipe at left back? And that kind of thing. So he's had to reinvent himself. Diego Simeone to sort of stay, in pace with the teams that he competes with, in as far as Spanish La Liga is concerned. So maybe that's what Jose Mourinho needs to do. But I would be inclined to agree with you that maybe now he needs to be at a national team level and manage a national team. Of course, over the years he's been called to go and manage Portugal, but he's oftentimes turned that down. He did reveal that at one time England had approached him to be their manager, but he turned that down because he still loves, I think, the adrenaline and the thrill of managing every weekend football. That's club football. I think that is what he would still manage to do. But because when you look around, of course at AC Roma he took them, I think, to was it to the finals of the UEFA Conference League or Europa League, one of the two, and then they lost in the finals. But in terms of pedigree, in terms of footballing hierarchy, as far as managers are concerned, he's high up there among the great of all time, among the greatest managers in football that there has been, because he's been in Portugal and done it. He's come to England and done it. He's gone to Italy and done it. He went to Spain and did it. Broke records with that Real Madrid team, I think of 2011, 2012. Yes, 2011, 2012. That team that had Angel Di Maria, Mesut Ozil, that had Sami Khedira, that had Pepe, that had Sergio Ramos, and all those players. Jose Mourinho could leave Turkey this year. I wouldn't be surprised if he left Turkey this year. I really wouldn't be surprised if he were to leave. But usually Jose Mourinho doesn't resign from jobs. He's forced out of the door. He's kicked out of the door. But I wouldn't be surprised if you were to be shown the exit and then they look to maybe to another manager to take on things at Fenerbahce. But he had a good start. Where did things collapse for him at Fenerbahce? Where did things fail? I thought he had a good start in as far as his Fenerbahce career is concerned. Safa, please let us know. Where did it all go wrong for? Yes, I was asking Safa that where did it all go wrong for Jose Mourinho in as far as managing Fenerbahce goes? Because he had what I believe to be a good start in his career in Turkish football, and he really looked like he was primed to compete with the big sides, the likes of Galatasaray and that kind of thing. Where did it go wrong for him? That's what I want to hear from you about. The game between Chelsea and Manchester United still goalless into the 70th minute, but we are yet to see a goals. Now, I feel like my prediction is being threatened, because remember, my prediction was that Chelsea would win by 2-1. So they just are looking less likely to score than they are likely to concede. So really, things are yet to happen. Things are yet to happen. But let's stay hopeful in as far as our predictions are concerned. I'm sure United fans would feel otherwise. They would feel otherwise about this. So I don't know if you are able to hear me, Safa, when I repeated my question, or whether you're still typing your answer. But I'll be interested in hearing from you why you think it all went wrong for Jose Mourinho in as far as a breakdown or a trust in his abilities came, or went about amongst the fans, maybe among in the team hierarchy as well. Has he been given the resources that he needs to to try and change this team and take them from one stage, from one level to another, and that kind of thing? Oh, 1-0, Marco Cucurella, Richie James with the assist. Brilliant goal scored by Marco Cucurella. Brilliant header by Marco Cucurella. Richie James providing the assist. Beautiful. Of course, I like the bit on that one because I'm still communicating to Safa here. So let me tell you this: Fenerbahce fell below. Fenerbahce fell below expectations this season. Of course, the management is responsible for this, but it didn't have much of an impact. Okay. So, so for you believe that they need to make a managerial change for Fenerbahce's fortunes to change. Like I was saying, guys, it's 1-0 in favor of Chelsea. Richie James has provided a brilliant assist down from the right side there. It receives the ball from Pedro Neto, floats in the cross, and it was Marco Cucurella who lashed onto it and headed it beyond the reach of Andre Onana to give Chelsea the lead. So it's a 1-0 lead for Chelsea. There, as we are into the 73rd minute of the game as we speak. So here so far is telling us about Fenerbahce and how things have sort of fallen a bit out of hand or below expectations in as far as Jose Mourinho's managerial time at Fenerbahce has gone. I think what is this is first campaign. So for him, he thinks he comes back to say that there is a management in Fenerbahce and there has been no success for years. This has nothing to do with the technical director. There have been 8 or 9 technical directors in the past 7 years. So, from what Sofa says is that the issues at Fenerbahce go beyond technical directors and perhaps managers. That the higher hierarchy of the club in terms of maybe ownership and management has more to do with why they've not been, winning silverware this season. Chelsea just missed a golden opportunity through anonymous Madueke. They missed to double their lead, but so I think that's when you say that, I get the feeling that it's a little bit similar to what's happening at Manchester United, or what has happened at Manchester United over the years, ever since Sir Alex Ferguson left. Fans have felt that the Glazers have not been as well vested in the club as they ought to be, that they've not really supported the club well, and they've not made the right decisions to ensure that the club continues to be the European giants, to be the biggest team in England, and maybe on the globe, and that kind of thing. However, I may want to a certain extent want to disagree with them at a certain extent. I may want to disagree because I think they've committed a good amount of resources over the years to try and buy the good players, which included the signing of Paul Pogba. Oh, you're saying your internet is not working? What's wrong with your internet, Safa? Sorry about that. Maybe you're having either low bandwidth or connection glitches. But sorry about that. But like I was saying, even me here, it's raining, and I hope that doesn't interrupt our discussion. So I was saying that maybe the situation at Fenerbahce is kind of similar to that of Manchester United, where over the years Manchester United fans have felt frustrated by the under-delivery of the Glazers, who are the owners of the club, and that maybe they've not been well vested in the club. They're more about profits than the club winning titles. Never mind that even during that spell, because they've won some pieces of silverware. They won the 2016 FA Cup, they won the Carabao Cup and the UEFA League in 2017. They won the FA Cup in 2024, that was last year, and also won the Carabao Cup in 2023 in Erik ten Hag's first season at the club. So, however, they do believe, much like any other sports commentator out there, that maybe those victories, those triumphs in those cup competitions have covered up the bigger problems at Manchester United, which Sir Jim Ratcliffe seeks to sort of remedy and change and take the club to the next level. And that's why you've seen reducing the size of staff, a bit of renovations at Old Trafford, and the proposal of a new stadium, which could cost them as much as £50 billion, and then renovations at Carrington. But in terms of buying players, they've bought quite a number of players. Angelo Di Maria, Radamel Falcao, Garcia Zarate, Edson Cavani was signed, Zlatan Ibrahimovic has come in, Paul Pogba and Fred has been signed, Jordan Sancho, Anthony, Casemiro, Rafael Varane, Andre Onana, Manuel Ugarte today, Lenio. All these are players that have been signed over the years that have come in at Manchester United. Now, it goes without saying that some have not succeeded, and that's the nature of transfers. You take a gamble. Sometimes you buy a player and they succeed. Sometimes they don't. You count your losses and move on, depending on how you see it. But they believe, a certain section believes, that so many wrong decisions have been made at the club. And they had a former CEO whose name eludes me. I need to check what his name was. The former Man United CEO. If anybody remembers his name, kindly remind me his name. I'm forgetting his name. Somebody remind me. Manchester United is a former CEO. I'm forgetting the gentleman. What's his name? Ed Woodward. Yes, Mr. Ed Woodward. Yes, Ed Woodward was the name I was trying to look for. He was at the helm of the club in terms of leading day-to-day running of the club, and many Manchester United fans felt that he had been installed by the Glazers to sort of make them more money, because they looked at Manchester United as a cash cow, as opposed to be the team that as opposed to making Manchester United to be the team that goes on to win major silverware and continue to compete all at the highest level and that kind of thing. Maybe so. What you're saying, Safa, is that we can relate it to that in as far as what Fenerbahce fans feel, and maybe it may need an overhaul, and that's practically what's really happening at Manchester United. That Sir Jim Ratcliffe is trying to flip things up with his management side, Ineos, after purchasing a 25% stake initially. I think he added on, and it's now about 28.7 there in terms of his stake in Manchester United. I'm hearing it for the first time. Well, I think that's the kind of sentiment you're talking about, but. So, anyways, in regards to what Safa was saying about Jose Mourinho leaving Fenerbahce and maybe joining Manchester United, here's what according to Scott's Bible, here's what they say, that Jose Mourinho has reportedly reached an agreement to leave Fenerbahce for a surprise new managerial role. Mourinho joined the Turkish Giants back in June, days after the 2024 Champions League final, and is guided Fenerbahce to a comfortable second place in the Super League, but they have once again failed to dethrone the champions Galatasaray. So that's the feeling. And then, of course, here it doesn't seem to mention what managerial role. Earlier this week, he was sensationally listed as the bookmakers 4-1 favorite to replace Ruben Amorim as Manchester United manager if his compatriot leaves the club. I do not think, now, again, like I said, this, for me, I feel these are just rumors. Given, I do not think that United would be eager to bring back Jose Mourinho. They would rather look to other options in terms of managers out there. You say there were claims about the Portuguese national team the other day, and maybe the claims about the Portuguese national team could be more solid as compared to the ones linking him back with the potential move to Manchester United. However, in football, we never say never. You can never know. Any day, things can be reversed and he ends up back at Man United. So we can never say never, but at least it doesn't really feel that way for me. But the Portuguese national team is one plausible job, although that one is still currently under the stewardship of the former Everton manager. What's his name? He was formerly at Wigan, then at Everton. He did manage Belgium. I'm forgetting his name. If somebody remembers the Portuguese national team manager, kindly remind me his name. It has suddenly slipped out of my mind. But you say, so you are right when you say that you don't think Mourinho will be in Europe anymore. Again, it depends. It depends. I think for mid-table teams, they could really look at appointing him, because he still does, like I said, he still loves the thrill of weekly, of the weekly rush of a weekend football, every weekend football at club level. He still loves that. In terms of elite European clubs, I do not think that there are many out there that would be considering him for a potential role. But when you look at the mid-level and mid-table kind of teams, teams like maybe in the range of Aston Villa, in the range of Tottenham, in the range of Real Betis, Real Sociedad, those are the kinds of teams that would be looking to employ him. You say, my friend, I have to go now. I have urgent work to do. I'll try to be here tomorrow. Safa says, see you. Thank you so much for being with us for the longest time that you've been with us. It's been a pleasure having you on the broadcast. We are almost coming to the end of the Manchester United game, and Chelsea are still leading that game by 1-0. That goal was scored by Marco Cucurella, with Rachel James providing the assist. Somehow, you guys have kept me here the entire second half of the game, yet the plan had been that we would do only halftime, and then we return to the game, and then we'll turn this into some form of watch along of some sort. But United, I think, will be glad to welcome back Aiden Heaven from injury, because he's been one of the players that have been brought on in the second half. So yes, the name I was looking for was Roberto Martinez. He's the manager of the Portugal national team. He was at Wigan, he was at Everton. He's had a stint with Belgium for the longest time in as far as national team football is concerned, and is now at Portugal. So anyway, because Jose Mourinho is a darling in Portugal, he's a big name, he's a big household name there. So I wouldn't be surprised if Portugal would want him to manage them. But again, thank you guys for the love and support. For those of you that are with us, if you're just joining us, kindly like the broadcast. Consider subscribing to the channel if you're new. I would really, really appreciate your love and support. in helping us grow. But the game between Man United and Chelsea is still on. We are into the 86th minute of the game, and it is still 1-0 in favor of Chelsea. But it's coming closer to an end. It's coming, getting closer to the end of it. And I think we could as well, see it out. But what that implies on the table, if Chelsea go ahead to win it, like I said, they do then leapfrog Aston Villa that are just moved forth on that table to 66 points because they have a superior goal difference. But third place Newcastle, fourth place Chelsea at the moment with that result, and then Aston Villa in fifth place. All have 66 points. It's only the goal difference that sort of separates them. And then Man City are in fifth place with 65 points. Remember, over the weekend, they are playing Crystal Palace in the finals of the FA Cup. And then after that, they will play their game of match day 37 of the Premier League, I think against Wolverhampton Wanderers on Tuesday. So that action will be on. And what that implies on the table is that if the results remain, if the scoreline remains as is, United will stay 16th. Spurs are already back in their 7th. Sorry, United moved to 16th and Spurs dropped back into 17th place. No, actually, it was that way already. With United 16th, Spurs 17th. I mean, these teams have been so poor that I keep mixing their positions. That sometimes I put United 17th. I hope United fans, you do not get offended while I do that. But it's because, I mean, you may as well be 17th. It's only 1 point that separates the two of you. United have 39 and Spurs have 38 points. So really, yes, I think why I mixed it up is because Spurs had moved to 16th when it was still goalless between them and Aston Villa. But like we reported, Spurs have lost that game by 2-0. Guys, if you're just joining us, kindly consider subscribing to the channel and also like the broadcast. But thank you so much for the love and support. I want once again to send my shout outs to Chaten Singh, who was earlier on with us. I want to send my shout outs to Swedish Ashtot. Swedish Bot. I want to send my shout outs to you. I want to send out my shouts to Safa Ali from Turkey. Thank you so much for the engagement, for the discussion that you've given us. Was quite engaging, really, to get the sense of Turkish football in as far as Jose Mourinho is doing over there with his team at Fenerbahce, and the sentiments that are making the rounds, including the bookies are linking him with a miraculous return or a prodigal-like son kind of return to Man United should things fail with Ruben Amorim, who I do not think United will be looking to let go anytime soon, unless he has a very false start next season. I think that's where they would start looking over their shoulders, because then the pressure will start mounting in from the fans that yes, we do appreciate he's a new manager and maybe his squad is not his own making and that kind of thing, but we can only take the embarrassment for so long. In fact, United fans are planning, protests and that kind of thing. So against the Glazers, who they blame for what the situation the club is in right now, and whether you want to agree with them or disagree with them, they are well within their rights. So excuse me, I was responding to an urgent message there from someone who are supposed to be on a call with, but I had to stay here with you guys because this has been fun. So guys, let me know where you're joining us from. Let me know what team you support. Let me know what you would like to know, and that kind of thing. So really, and I hope our voice is still on. But thank you so much for the love and support. It's been really, really nice having you we are almost 1 hour into the broadcast as this game draws closer to an end. I see Manel Ugarte there getting booked. We're into the 91st minute of stoppage time, of added time there, and Chelsea are still leading the game by 2-0. I do not think we will get the perfect score that we had predicted over 2-1, but Chelsea I look destined to win this one. Guys, why do you keep running away? Anyways, for some of you, it's bad internet connection. I do understand. Sometimes I myself tend to struggle with that a bit, but it's something that we have to bear with. But Manel Ugarte, that was a not a good tackle or foul, but we are into the 92nd minute of the 7 minutes of added time. So, guys, let me know where you're joining us from, what country you're in, what time is it outside, what team you support, what sport do you enjoy. In our earlier podcast, before this one, we had a colleague from India, and we were engaging about their love for for cricket and that kind of thing. So really, I can see has been replaced by Malo Gusto in the game as one of the substitutions made, and then we did have Romeo Lavia coming on for Tariq George for Chelsea to try and have more control in that midfield, and then for the side of Manchester United, Mason Mount paved the way for Alejandro Garnacho, and Manel Agate paved the way for Manel Agate came in for Casemiro. Bruno Fernandes was replaced by Kobe Maino, and then Aiden Heaven replaced Luke Shaw. Like I said, United are in action on Wednesday against Tottenham Hotspurs in the finals of the UEFA Europa League. The last time they were in the finals, the UEFA Europa League, they lost 11-10 on penalties that preceded a 1-1 draw. That was when they faced off with Villarreal in 2021. Villarreal, they were still under the charges of Unai Emery, who is now currently at Aston Villa, trying to take Aston Villa to the next level, trying to see if they can secure a UEFA Champions League spot. They've been there this season and they've really done really well. They reached the quarterfinals and got knocked out by PSG. PSG will eventually knocked out Arsenal at the semi-finals to book their place in the final, and they will be up against Inter Milan at the Allianz Arena on the 31st of May this month. So in which I do anticipate that PSG could go on to win it because there's something historic about teams that have never won it playing at the Allianz Arena against teams that have won it before. In 79, Nottingham Forest winning it for the first time. In 95, Borussia Dortmund winning it for the first time. Was it 95, 97? I think 95. No, 97. I think thereabout. Then in 1983, you had Olympique Marseille winning it for the first time. In 2012, you had Chelsea winning it for the first time at the Allianz Arena. Remember, Chelsea had lost the 2008 final against Manchester United in Moscow, Russia. So there's that bit of history about teams that have never won it playing in the Allianz Arena, and that's why I think, among other factors, that PSG may have the upper hand as far as that final. PSG themselves did lose a final in 2020, losing to Bayern Munich by 1-0. That goal scored by Kingsley Coman in the 59th minute, while Inter Milan have lost to, is it 2? Yes, I think they've lost one. Yes, they lost to Man City in 2023 in the finals. That's their recent final, and of course they get to return for another final, the second final in a space of 3 years. That goal in 2023 was scored by Rodri as they lost by 1-0. Man City themselves had lost a year but one earlier, losing to Chelsea in the finals of 2021. Kai Havertz scoring, the sole goal that won them the game. So for the last couple of UEFA Champions League finals, starting from I think 2019. Yes, 2019. We've had low goal scoring finals because in 2020 Liverpool beat up against Tottenham Hotspur by 2-0 to win it. Then in 2020, Bayern Munich winning it under the charges of Hansi Flick by 0-0 beating. Then in 2021, Chelsea winning it by 0-0 beating Man City. In 2022, Real Madrid beating Liverpool. Was it 2-1 to win it? And then in 2023, Man City winning it, beating Inter Milan by 2-0. In 2024, Real Madrid beating Borussia Dortmund by 2-0 to win it. So they've been a bit of a low goal scoring finals in recent times, in as far as the UEFA Champions League is concerned. So and that kind of thing. But we're into the 97th minute of this game between Man United and Chelsea are still leading by a goal to nil. So let's see here. The so United and Spurs looking to dethrone Atlanta, who won last year's UEFA Europa League, beating up against Bayer Leverkusen, who are losing for the first time in that campaign by 3-0 on the night. So really, my colleague Anthony Agaba, a Chelsea fan, I hope you're doing well. I know you're disappointed in your manager in Enzo Maresca, but I hope that this 1-0 result will treat you well in as far as your pursuit for UEFA Champions League football is concerned. We're into the 98th minute, and as far as that game is concerned. So Gava, I hope you're doing well. I hope you're doing well. Really, trying to see if there's any comments from Chelsea fans, from Manchester United fans, as far as the reaction to this game is concerned. I can see a photo here of, I think, Enzo Fernandez who has a tattoo of a lion, face of a lion, a male lion on his back. So guys, kindly like the broadcast, kindly consider subscribing to the channel if you're new here, so that you can continue to support us, so that we can continue to grow our community. But more importantly, let me know where you're joining us from. Let me know what country you're tuning in from. Guys, in case my microphone goes off, do not hesitate to warn me. Sometimes we've lost volume because my mics ran out. There was a pitch invasion by a fan. I mean, those are some of the things that you get in some of these big games. But let's see it out for our watch along. Not that it was meant to be a watch along, but it's been good to have your company during this 1 hour broadcast now. Quite impressive, and really appreciate the love and support. But tomorrow, the whole gist is in the FA Cup final between Crystal Palace and Manchester City. I hope an underdog can go ahead and win this title, because I mean, the big teams have often won it. I think you remember back in 2008 when Portsmouth went on to win it. I'd love to see that. You remember when Wigan won it? You remember when Leicester City won it, when they were under the charges of Brandon Rodgers before he was sacked and he returned to Celtic? So I'd really sort of love to see an underdog, win it. But the full-time score is Chelsea 1, Manchester United 0. So Chelsea win the game. Of course, our prediction was not a perfect score, because our prediction was a 2-1 victory for Chelsea. But at least they've managed to win the game by 1-0. Our prediction for the Aston Villa versus Tottenham game was a 3-1 victory for Aston Villa. It wasn't a perfect score, but at least Aston Villa managed to win by 2-0. So congratulations, Chelsea fans. You continue to fight for that top 5 finish on the Premier League table, following that 1-0 victory over Manchester United at Stamford Bridge. That sole goal scored by none other than Marco Cucurella, with Richard James providing the assist. Like I said, in the other game between Tottenham and Aston Villa, it was Ezri Konsa, Boubacar Kamara that scored the 2 goals in the second half that won the fixture for Unai Emery's side. Quite impressive there to see. In as far as Premier League stats go, United dominated possession with 52.6% versus Chelsea's 47.4%. Shots on target, Chelsea had 3, Manchester United had 1. Then I can see 11 shots in total for Chelsea, while Man United afforded only 5. Total touches 622 for Man United and 585 for Chelsea. I can see Mariam Omoto is back saying, say something about Liverpool. We've said a lot about Liverpool, only that we lost you on the other first broadcast that you had joined us on. And Daniel Tuton wanted to, engage with you because he's also a Liverpool fan from the UK, from Liverpool there. But Mariam, before I say anything about Liverpool, kindly let me know where you're joining us from and what country or what city and what time it is there. But in as far as Liverpool are concerned, of course, they are Premier League champions. I already said my congratulations to them. I continue to say them. They deserved winners. In as far as Liverpool players are concerned, Mo Salah has been nominated for Premier League Player of the Year. I think he will win that one without any fuss, without any ounce of doubt, because he's really been impressive. I mean, 28 goals, 18 or 19 assists in Uganda. Mariam says he's from Uganda. Oh, good to have you. I'm equally from Uganda, Kampala here. So I believe Mo Salah will win Premier League Player of the Year without a doubt. He deserves it totally. A lot of goal. Take away his goal contributions, and then Liverpool do not, win their second Premier League title. He's been that impressive. Had it not been for Liverpool exiting the UEFA Champions League at the round of 16, I think he would be really high up there in as far as the FIFA Ballon d'Or, rankings are concerned. We have Tamel Prince says, I support Arsenal. Hi, Tamel Prince. Good to have you here. I hope. Please let us know what country you're joining us from. That's Tamel Prince. But like I was saying about Liverpool, and then Ryan Gravenberch has been nominated for Young Player of the Year, although I have an issue with the nominees for Young Player of the Year. The kind of players that have been nominated, not all of them, but at least, I mean, yes, I'm an Arsenal fan, but how do you nominate a 24-year-old in William Saliba for Potential Player of the Year award, and then leave out an 18-year-old player in Miles Lewis Kelly and not nominate him? I mean, in as far as a young player coming from the academy and having a breakthrough season, who has been brought up as a midfielder, then plays at left back, gets to break through the team and becomes a mainstay in the team. How do you then come to the conclusion that he's not deserving of a Young Player of the Year nomination? I mean, how did we get to that? That for me has been one of the things that has sort of concerned me in as far as those nominations are concerned. I'm trying to look for the other names that have been nominated for Young Player of the Year award. So, but Ryan Gravenberch is one of those in as far as Liverpool is concerned. Then Tamel Prince says, I'm from England, but I'm from Congo. I'm from Congo, Jamaica, and Haiti. Wow. How do you manage to come from 3 countries? Congo is in Africa, Jamaica is on the other side of the Caribbean, Haiti is also in a different side. Then the other thing, still Mariam, I'd want to pick your mind, Mariam, about what your thoughts are about Trent Alexander-Arnold leaving the club, but also Liverpool, who are close to signing Jeremy Frimpong from Bayer Leverkusen as the replacement for Alexander Trent Arnold, because that's the player they are looking to sign. It's going to cost them about 35 to 40 million euros. That's what is in his release clause. Yes, among the other players that have been nominated for Young Player of the Season is Liam Delap, Anthony Elanga, Ryan Gravenberch, Dean Howson, that's the FC Bournemouth defender that is joining Real Madrid, and then Cole Palmer, João Pedro of Brighton and Hove Albion, as well as this is Morgan Rogers of Aston Villa, and then William Saliba. So for me, out of this list, I do not expect William Saliba to be on the list. I'd rather have Maz Lewis Kelly, in as far as the nominations are concerned. Not that he would go ahead to win it, but in as far as the nominations are concerned. Now, all the players enlisted here have had brilliant seasons. Liam Delap at Ipswich, very good season, 12 Premier League goals and a couple of assists. Anthony Elanga has been quite impressive. But given that Anthony Elanga, this is what? His third Premier League season playing, again, that for me, kind of puts him behind the pecking order. Of course, Ryan Gravenberch, this being his second season in the Premier League, has really, really been impressive. Dean Howson, another breakthrough player, a 20-year-old. I mean, so much so that he's attracted the interest of Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, Arsenal, Liverpool, and Chelsea, although he's now going to join Real Madrid, who have said they will be paying the £50 million release clause in his contract at AFC Bournemouth. So that deal is expected to be completed. Actually, he's been permitted to do a medical in London before joining Real Madrid, and then he will join them, of course, once the season ends, which does end in just 2 weeks with those 2 games left to play. We've started match day 37 right away. The other news about Liverpool is, of course, the Liverpool manager in Arne Slot, was nominated for manager of the season alongside Vitor Pereira, that's of Wolverhampton Wanderers, alongside Nuno Espirito Santo, alongside Ed Howe, alongside Thomas Frank. Now, all these other managers have done impressively well, but for me, there's only one winner in this, Arne Slot. First season, coming in to fill the big shoes of a departed Jurgen Klopp. We were not sure what to expect of him. In any case, my prediction was that Liverpool would finish third on the Premier League table behind Arsenal and with Manchester City as champions. That has not come to pass. He's flipped the coin. Liverpool are champions. For me, that's impressive. And what they've done this season has been nothing short of remarkable. Never mind that they've won the competition on lesser points than the last 2 seasons for a second place finish for the teams there. Tamel Prince says, my dad's are from Congo and Haiti, and my mom's is from Jamaica. Wow, that's quite impressive. You have a very rich history. But also you mentioned that you do support Arsenal. I'm coming to speak about Arsenal at length in just a bit. Just give me 2 minutes to conclude with Mariam here about Liverpool. So again, Mariam, Liverpool, in as far as signings are concerned, they're interested in signing Alexander Isak from Newcastle. That's their primary target for a striker. But they're also looking at Hugo Ekitike, that's at Eintracht Frankfurt, the 22-year-old French international. Been quite impressive, really, at Eintracht Frankfurt. I think he's been involved in 33 goals across 47 games in all competitions this season, including 15 of those coming in the Bundesliga alone. So, really, James here says, James Miji says Arsenal always next season and biggest bottlers. That's his feeling about Arsenal. I mean, the people with that school of thought. I know Patrice Evra has traded that talk of Arsenal is like Netflix. It's always about next season. But banter aside, we'll be looking at that. But then briefly, still in the Premier League, nominees for Premier League Player of the Season. Excuse me. These are the nominees. Morgan Gibbs-White of Nottingham Forest, Ryan Gravenberch returns for nominee for Player of the Season, Alexander Isak of Newcastle, Brian Mbeumo of Brentford, Declan Rice of Arsenal, Mohamed Salah, Virgil van Dijk, and Chris Wood. Now, if Liverpool had not won the title, I would have given the player of the season award to Alexander Isak. But I mean, Mo Salah for me should win it, and I believe he will win it. My manager of the season is Anna Slot. For young player of the year, that's where I'm a bit torn, but I'm torn between three options: Ryan Gravenberch, Dean Howson, and Morgan Rogers. But I think I'll go. I think with Morgan Rogers, it's been quite impressive. Okay, let's pick Arsenal because I see Tamal Prince is really interested in hearing about Arsenal. In regards to James, you said no. You're saying Gravenberch, you said no. You're saying not what? For you, your young player of the season is Ryan Gravenberch. That's who you're going with. Mariam said hello to all Liverpool fans. Yes, all Liverpool fans. Mariam is saying hello to you. Let's go back now to a little bit to Tamal Prince. This one has so a rich history. Dad is from Congo and you know, and Haiti. That's where his roots are, and then the mother is from Jamaica. What accent do you speak with? Congolese accent, Haiti accent, or Jamaican accent when it comes to speaking English? Tamal Prince. But anyway, that's a joke. I wanted to say something about Arsenal. Now, in terms of assessing Arsenal's season, again, they've sort of regressed in comparison to what they did last season in as far as the Premier League is concerned. And among those, for me, there are two main reasons that has been the cause of that. One, a narrow squad for them. They didn't have, the squad depth that they ought to have had. Two, they've not had, they've had so many injuries to key players in that team. So that has really, really hampered them. So I do think those are the two main reasons as to why Arsenal have regressed this season. Of course, in the UEFA Champions League, they've made progress because they moved from finishing at the quarterfinals. Of course, they got knocked out last season by Bayern Munich, by poor Bayern Munich side, a Bayern Munich side that didn't really deserve to beat them, but because of pedigree, the experience of the manager, they got knocked out. Never mind that they had barely scrapped themselves out of the round of 16 against FC Porto. But this season, they made it to the semi-finals of the UEFA Champions League, which was good progress. And once again, you felt that the inexperience of the manager is one of the things that cost them. And then the lack of a striker really cost them. And so overall, they'll feel that they've had something positive in as far as the UEFA Champions League is concerned, but they will be really, really disappointed in their performance of the Premier League this season. And for me, if they go on to finish second or anywhere else beyond that, my prediction was that Arsenal would finish second in the Premier League because I did not think they had the squad that could mount a serious title challenge because of the reasons that I did give in that video. For those of you that are interested in watching that video, it's pinned on the channel there for my 2024-2025 Premier League predictions. I did get many of them right, but at least when you look at the reasons I gave, you'll observe that you've really seen them across, the entire season. Of course, I got things wrong about Man United, about Tottenham, about Man City, about Liverpool, but I think I got things right about Arsenal, and then about Aston Villa, the kind of how they struggled a bit to balance the UEFA Champions League, and that they had to do back in the Premier League and that kind of thing. So, James says yes. Who do you think will win the Europa League? That's a bit of a difficult question, but I'll answer it. Maybe not in full now because we'll be looking at that game at full strength. But if there's any team that has the bigger advantage or the bigger chance or percentage of winning it, is Manchester United. I think as we speak, United, given their performance, given that they are unbeaten in the Europa League, have a 52% chance as compared to Tottenham's 48% chance of who would win it. So that's my feeling at the moment. But we'll get to analyze the teams as we go on. More importantly, I think on Wednesday morning, we'll be doing a live broadcast. Guys, we are oftentimes live Monday to Friday between 10 a.m. to 11 p.m. as well as on Saturday between 11 a.m. to midday. That's when we usually do our live broadcasts. And then sometimes in the nights or in the evenings. Then on match days, usually we come live before games kick off, and then after the games are finished. James, you come back to say, but Arsenal did had a chance to buy a striker, but no. Instead, Arteta bought a goalkeeper. Yes, I think prior to the start of the season, or even before the start of the season, everybody knew, even at the tail end of the season, that the writing was on the wall that Arsenal needed to buy a striker. Something happened in January. That's what all Arsenal fans were calling for. And Aston Villa gave them the opportunity to sign Oli Watkins in January. But Arsenal declined. Okay, they did not decline, but there was a mismatch in valuation for the player. Aston Villa valued the player at about £60 million. Arsenal valued the player at about £40 million. So they could not make a deal. And that's how things ended up, collapsing or not working out. That's how they ended up not signing a striker. So much the frustration of Mikel Arteta. Then let's wind things back into the summer, where still I thought they got things wrong. They needed a striker. They did not buy one. And then they decided to let go of Eddie Nketiah. Never mind that he's not a prolific goal scorer. He wasn't scoring so many goals. In any case, last season, he only scored 5 Premier League goals. Of those 5, one was a hat-trick against Sheffield United. So clearly that tells you the entire story. So they moved him on and did not replace him. So for me, my quarrel with Arsenal was that they moved on a player that was tick. Was the right decision to move on Eddie Nketiah. My quarrel was that they never replaced the player. And they did that for so many players. They moved on Emily Smith-Rowe, who joined Fulham, never replaced him. They sent Fabio Vieira out on loan to FC Porto. They never brought in a replacement. Of course, Albert Sabilo Konga and Nuno Tavares had been on loan the previous season with Sabilo Konga at Luton Town and then Nuno Tavares, I think, playing for Olympique Marseille in France. Nuno Tavares goes to Lazio on season-long loan, where he will be joining them by the permanent basis because they had an obligation to buy for about 8 or 9 million euros, which they're taking up. Albert Samilo Konga does return, so that one was moved on again on loan, was not replaced. Then Reece Nelson, another player, sent out on loan to Fulham, not replaced. So that meant that Arsenal were short in squad depth. Then in terms of priority signings, James says instead of signing a striker, they signed a goalkeeper. Now, I'll tell you why. Arsenal had an obligation to buy a goalkeeper because remember last season they had David Raya on loan from Brentford, and before leaving Brentford, Brentford compelled David Raya to sign a 1-year contract extension. That 1-year contract extension meant that at the end of his season-long loan at Arsenal, he would still be under contract with Brentford, and that caused Brentford to insert a £27 million obligation to buy clause in that loan contract, which Arsenal were implementing at the end of the season. Remember, he joined Arsenal on a season-long loan for £3 million as the loan fees. And then the obligation to buy was for £27 million at the end of the season. So Arsenal were obligated to pay £27 million to make that deal permanent. So that's how they ended up buying a goalkeeper. Then, because they let go of Aaron Ramsdale, they needed a second goalkeeper and went on to get Neto, who was hardly featured. They got him on loan. I think among the games he's played, because he was captain in the Carabao Cup, because he had played for AFC Bournemouth, and then he played for Arsenal in that 2-1 victory for Arsenal against Girona in the UEFA Champions League, one of the games that I do remember that he played in. So they had to bring in at least a number 2 because they let go of Aaron Ramsdale, who joined Southampton. Now, then they also bought a young goalkeeper in Tom Stratford there. So, but that one is a young academy player, 18 years of age, academy player. Of course, on more occasions than not, he's been one of those players that has been mentioned on the bench. And I think he did feature for Arsenal in a Carabao Cup game, I think against Bolton. That game, I think he featured in that game. I stand to be corrected, Arsenal fans, but in as far as I remember, he featured in that game. So that was the situation. And then when it came to, again, priorities, they signed a defender in Ricardo Carafiori and signed Mikel Merino, a midfielder. Now, for me, I had I had a bone to pick with the signing of Ricardo Carafiori, not because he's not a good player, he's a very, very decent player, but because they prioritized signing him over signing a striker. And still the expectation was, or the hope was, that Arsenal would go on to sign a striker. Eventually they did not. For the whole length of the transfer window, Arsenal were hung up on trying to sign Mikel Merino, who they eventually got from Real Sociedad for about what, £35 million? And they secured that deal. Again, another midfielder, who I do not think, of course, given how the season has turned out to be, he's proved to be ever worth it, because when Kai Havertz got injured at the tail end of January during Arsenal's Dubai camp, he's the one that has been played as, the fourth striker, and he scored 7 goals and provided 4 assists in the Premier League during that spell. So it has turned out okay. But they prioritized signing him over signing a striker, which again, I thought for me was a blunder at the time. So there's so many decisions that they made that were questionable. But then when you look at how the season has transpired, all the injuries that they've had to suffer, then Ricardo Carafiori becomes justified, very, very justified. Mikel Merino becomes very justified. We've spoken about David Raya. They had an obligation to buy. They had, because they had let go of Aaron Ramsdale, they needed, a number 2 goalkeeper. That's why he is hardly played. Then they brought in Raheem Sterling on loan. That was, remember, a last minute, transaction or transfer. And because Chelsea basically had told Raheem Sterling, or Enzo Maresca had told Raheem Sterling, you're not going to get playing time here. Find, a spot elsewhere. And because Arsenal were in panic mode because they had let go of Bruce Nelson to Fulham, they jumped onto the wagon to sign Raheem Sterling. Look at his contribution this season. You can hardly remember it. I think his most memorable contribution, at least one of them in an Arsenal jersey, came against Bolton in the Carabao Cup. So we saw him a couple of games back, and he's not even half the player that we know Raheem Sterling to be. That's what he's been throughout the entire season, and that kind of thing. So they've made so many decisions wrong, but among the decisions that they failed to get right was that they failed to sign a striker. That I agree with you 100%, and that's why in their priorities this summer is signing a striker. Which striker will they sign? They are yet to make a decision between Victor Gyökeres and Benjamin Sesko. Guys, I've made my assessments on Benjamin Sesko and Victor Gyökeres. We had that debate, I think, was it yesterday night? Or not yesterday night, I think in the morning broadcast. But again, Arsenal fans have decisions or opinions about either Victor Gyökeres and Benjamin Sesko keep on changing, depending on what facts they learn, depending on how they assess. Victor Gyökeres looks to be more in his prime as compared to Benjamin Sesko, who is still, just still a developing player. There at still a developing player at RB Leipzig and that kind of thing. So it's been kind of hard to slice. But at least there is one consensus in all this, is that when you look at Arsenal and where their priorities lie, or who their ideal target would be, is Alexander Isak. He's top of that list. He's top of that list in as far as the striker that Arsenal want to sign is concerned. But like I've said time and again, Alexander Isak is a deal too expensive for any club that wants to sign him. Whether Newcastle get into the Champions League or not is still a deal too expensive. However, if Newcastle fail to make it into the UEFA Champions League, which I think they will make it into the UEFA Champions League, But if they were to fail to make it into the UEFA Champions League, it would sort of maybe give a buying club a bit of negotiating power, because then the player in Alexander Isak could say, maybe I want to play UEFA Champions League football. And there is a journalist called Chris Whitley. He did at one time report that Newcastle have an agreement or a gentleman's agreement between them and the player that if they fail to qualify for the UEFA Champions League, then they can let him leave for about 100 million euros. Now, whether that is a religious truth or not remains to be seen. But at least that conversation or that rumor has been around. So the prayer for his suitors in Arsenal, in Chelsea, in Liverpool will pray that Newcastle do not qualify for the UEFA Champions League, and they maybe then that gives them a bit of negotiating power when they go in to try and buy the player. But remember, at Newcastle, he's still under contract up to June 2028, which means he still has 3 years left to his contract. He's a well-paid player, I think the most paid player at Newcastle. So again, that poses a challenge for any team that wants to buy him. He'll be on high wages. He'll be himself expensive. The agent fees there are involved. So you're looking at a fee between £100 million to 150, according to transfer speculation. So that's why all the others are zeroing down to these options. Liam Delap, interested. Chelsea and Man United have interest, in the player. Arsenal have been mentioned in that conversation. Hugo Ekitike at Eintracht Frankfurt has been mentioned in that conversation. And then, of course, Benjamin Sesko, who is only 21 years of age. And then Victor Gyökeres, who is 26 years of age. Now, the debate on Sesko versus Gyökeres is 26, this one is 21. So Sesko is still a developing player. Gyökeres is a player in his prime. Never mind that he's a late developer. For most of you that may not know, he had the loan spell at Swansea in 2020-2021, and he only scored 1 goal. So he spent there half a season, and the next half of the season, he went on loan to Coventry, where he scored 3 goals in that same season. Then Coventry bought him, and in his first full season, that was 2021-2022, he scored 18 goals in the season. In as far as that was in the championship, and then the following season, still playing for Coventry, he scored 22 goals, and that's when he left. That is when he got bought by Sporting Lisbon. So at Sporting Lisbon for 2023-2024 season, he scored 43 goals across all competitions, and then of course this season he scored about 52 goals across all competitions, and with about 23 assists in about 100 games. So that's his been goal contribution. I can see Mariam says, where is Steven Gerrard now? Steven Gerrard, last I checked, he was out of work because he got sacked at Al Ittihad in the Saudi Pro League. They part ways with him. That's where he had been with Jesse Lingard, the former Man United and ex-West Ham player. That's where he had been. So I do not know where he is at the moment, but I'll try and do some research on that and find out where he is. Frank Lampard is with Coventry. He led them to the playoffs of the championship. He found them, I think, second or third or fourth from bottom of the championship, and they finished, I think, 6th on that championship table, and they got in the playoffs. Of course, they got knocked out by Sunderland, who Sunderland are playing up against Sheffield United in the playoff final of the Sky Bet Championship. So that game does come, I think next weekend. Yes, next weekend at Wembley Stadium. That's when it will be played. So that's that. So that's the news at Arsenal. So as far as Arsenal are concerned, they did agree everything with Martin Zubimendi. He's a holding midfielder from Real Sociedad. I've received numerous questions about Martin Zubimendi. Martin Zubimendi is not a very fast player. He's not a fast player like Declan Rice. He's not a very physical player like Thomas Partey, in any case, is a diminutive player, but he's an intelligent player. He's like Jorginho. He plays his game like Jorginho. He's more of an intelligent player, a smart game reading, using his intelligence to manage and control the game, dictate the tempo of the game, and that kind of thing, as opposed to being physical and, a very fast player. So he's a holding midfielder. Then Arsenal are also interested in signing Rodrigo Goes from Real Madrid, the 24-year-old Brazilian, but they look at Rodrigo Goes as an opportunity in the market, the same way it was the case was with Kai Havertz when they were signing him last season, but one from Chelsea for £65 million. Excuse me. Then the other player that they're interested in signing, and this is Joan Garcia. That's the goalkeeper from Espanyol. We've talked about the striking situation, and also then among the wingers, they've spoken about Nico Williams. They've spoken about Jamie Gittens, who is at Borussia Dortmund. He's been mentioned in that same conversation. Then Antoine Semenyo has been mentioned in that conversation. Then Ebelechi Ize is one of those creative midfield players that have been mentioned in the conversation with Arsenal, as well as Ohan Sunset. Excuse me. Just allow me to take a sip. Sorry about that. Ohai Sunset is a midfielder at Athletic Bilbao. He has a 20-goal contribution in 32 games. That was last I checked. 17 goals and 3 assists in all competitions, but 15 of those goals have come in the Spanish La Liga. So he's one of those players that Arsenal have looked at, considered signing. Maybe about Liverpool also. Liverpool are interested in signing Florian Wirtz. That's from Bayer Leverkusen, but they are competing for Florian Wirtz with Manchester City as well as Bayern Munich, who are all interested in signing the player. Now, Florian Wirtz, according to Bayer Leverkusen, they do value the player at about 150 million euros, which is about 126 million pounds, quite expensive. But the 22-year-old is quite a talent. I think presently you put him in the bracket of Lamine Yamal, Florian Wirtz, Jamal Musiala at Bayern Munich. That's a sort of crop of players. Of course, Endrick and Adagula, as well as Brahim Diaz, have sort of fallen off the pace a bit because of lack of playing time. Maybe Bradley Bacola, Desire Dowie in that sort of bracket of young, brilliant players on the European scene in as far as good football is concerned. So Liverpool fans, keep an eye on Florian Wirtz because Liverpool are interested in signing him from Bayer Leverkusen, although because the advantage that Liverpool have is that Bayer Leverkusen do not want to sell to Bayern Munich. They would rather sell to a Premier League team. Now, and while that gives the Premier League teams an advantage, that Man City have an upper hand in trying to sign him because they approached him first. And this week on Tuesday, he was in Manchester with his parents, his dad and mom, because his dad is his agent. They were in Manchester for talks with Manchester City officials over a potential move for him to move to England. And some reports do say he would prefer to move to the Premier League. And because remember, Man City are trying to find a replacement for Kevin De Bruyne, who is leaving the club at the end of the season. Reports are linking Kevin De Bruyne with a potential move to Napoli. Then there's a striker called Jonathan David at Lille, whose contract runs out at the end of the season. That one, reports say that Napoli have put a contract proposal on his table, although Chelsea have been equally mentioned, in the conversation among strikers that they looked at. Tamel Prince says hi. Thank you, Tamel Prince. So that's the conversation around Arsenal, around Liverpool. So those are some of the players that they are trying to follow up on, that they are trying to sign. But Man City are also trying to sign a player called Tian Reinders. That is a 26-year-old Dutch midfielder who is at AC Milan. They are trying to sign him, but they will have to face competition from Real Madrid because Real Madrid are also reported to have interest in him, but that will depend on Xabi Alonso, who is going to be their new manager. Remember, Carlo Ancelotti is leaving Real Madrid, and is going to be the head coach for the Brazil national team. So it will depend, because it was Xabi Alonso that asked Real Madrid to expedite the process of signing Dean Howson from FC Bournemouth to Real Madrid. So it will depend on his submission on whether he does want Jan Reinders from AC Milan. Atamal Prince says, who do you think will win the UEFA Champions League final? I think PSG will win it. And when the time is due, I'll give my reasons why. But some of those are sort of depending on based on the history. But I do think PSG, when it comes pound for pound, in terms of players, in terms of teams, I think they do cancel each other out. They're both strong teams. They deserve to be in the final. But just off head, I would say PSG will win it. But again, I'll give my assessment when that time comes in regards to the UEFA Champions League final. But thank you so much, Tamal Prince, for your question about the UEFA Champions League final. And like I mentioned, for those of you that were with us much earlier on, is that there's something about UEFA Champions League final being played at the Allianz Arena. Usually, a team that has never won it is the one that wins it before. And remember, Inter Milan have won the UEFA Champions League on 3 occasions. They won it in the 1961-62 season, and then in 62-63 season, they defended it. So they won it then. And then they won it, of course, in 2010 under the charges of Jose Mourinho, that when they beat Bayern Munich by 2-0 in the final. Diego Milito scoring those goals in that final. And then PSG have never won it. They've only played in one final, like I said, in 2020 when they lost to Bayern Munich by 1-0. That goal scored by Kingsley Coman in the 59th minute. That Bayern Munich side that won the treble, because they won the Bundesliga, they won the UEFA Champions League and the DFB Pokal. They were under the charges of Hansi Flick, who had replaced Niko Kovac when Niko Kovac left the club. So that was that. Of course, eventually Hansi Flick left. They brought Julian Nagelsmann, who they sacked after 1.5 seasons, and they brought in Thomas Tuchel, who did his part, and then eventually they brought in the same company. But my prediction is that PSG will go ahead and win it. Then when you look at, I think it was 1983, Olympique Marseille won it. They were first-time winners at the Allianz Arena. In 1979, Nottingham Forest won it. They were first-time winners. They won it at the Allianz Arena. And then, I think in 1995, Borussia Dortmund won it. They were first-time winners at the Allianz Arena. So that bit of history there really forms part of the basis as to why I think they will go on to win at the UEFA Champions League. What team do you support? I do support Arsenal. I do support Real Madrid. But like I say, mostly, if it is Real Madrid versus Arsenal, I'll support Arsenal because it's the team I've supported the longest. But more importantly, I love football in general. And that's why I can afford to objectively speak about almost all teams, as opposed to being, biased about, a single team that I support. But I'm an Arsenal fan, and thank you for asking, Tamal Chris. And I hope, you said you yourself, you are, no, I'm trying to look for the team you said you support. Yes, you said you support Arsenal as well. So we Arsenal fans are busy basking in our misery of completing another season without winning. Oh, sorry about that. That was an internet glitch. But I want to send my shout outs to Chaten Singh from India. Thank you for the love and support. Swedish Bot. I don't know why I keep reading your name as Swedish Short, but it's Swedish Bot. Thank you for the love and support. Len Meets, thank you so much for the love and support. Safa Ali was with us earlier. He's a Fenerbahce fan from Turkey, where things are not really, he feels that things are not really going well for Jose Mario Felix Mourinho, and they could look to let him go at the end of the season. He's been linked with the potential move back to Manchester United should things not work out for Ruben Amorim, but he's also been linked with a potential job at the Portuguese national team, where Roberto Martinez is currently at the boss there. And then we had Okoyo Amlen said Jose is national team material, nothing new he can bring to the table. Okoyo is a Liverpool fan. Then we had then we had Mariam Omoto. That one is a Liverpool fan from Uganda. Thank you for the love and support. We had, of course, we've had Tamel Prince. That is from the UK, but is of Jamaican, Congolese, and Haiti descent. So I found that quite amazing and impressive. But thank you guys for the love and support. But if you're new here, kindly consider subscribing to the channel and support us so that we can continue to go. Like I said, every Monday to Friday, we do morning broadcasts, usually between 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Around that time. That's the time we usually come to you live to speak matters football, to speak matters transfers, to speak all the news that is making rounds around your teams and that kind of thing. So Arsenal this weekend are up against Newcastle. Very big game. Arsenal second place, Newcastle third place. Whoever wins that game, if Newcastle win that game, they go above Arsenal. It's that simple. If Arsenal win that game, they guarantee that they potentially finish in second place. That's the matrix there about. But thank you so much, guys, for the love and support. Not just on this broadcast, but to the channel. Unless you guys have any other questions, I would want to let you guys go before my microphone runs out of battery, because we've been doing this for 1 hour and 51 minutes so far. This is the longest live broadcast we've done on the channel. The previous record was about 1 hour and 20 minutes. But thank you so much for the engagement, for liking the broadcast, for the questions, and for the support. So unless you have any questions, Chelsea fans, I've not heard from Chelsea fans, because today I heard from a Tottenham Hotspur fan, Fenerbahce fan, Liverpool fan. I've not heard from a Man United fan. My friends Paul Chigozi, Gregory, Bruno is having a concert. What's his name? Emeka, Kasuku, Kuku Wazabanga, all those are Manchester United fans. Kato Morris, Sempija Ronald, all those are Manchester United fans. We want to hear from them in regards to what they think about their chances in the UEFA Europa League final, as well as what assessment they make about their season in as far as how it's gone. Them being 16th on the Premier League table, who would have thought that a team that has 13 Premier League titles to their name would one day be 13th on the Premier League table, and without any points docked off them? But things have just gone wrong, because Ruben Amorim has won only 6 games out of 27 Premier League games managed. Now, I mean, say hello to all Liverpool fans in the UK. Yeah, Liverpool fans, all of you, wherever you are in the world, I say hello to you. Congratulations upon winning the Premier League title. I think the Manager of the Year award belongs to you. Player of the Year accolade belongs to you. Yeah, that's my feeling about that. But Liverpool fans, you've been amazing. However, Mariam, I want to hear, did you let me know about your feelings? You did answer one question. Do you have confidence in Jeremy Frimpong, who is joining from Bayer Leverkusen as a replacement for Alexander Trent-Arnold? And what are your feelings about Alexander Trent-Arnold leaving the club? Because he is leaving Liverpool at the end of the season to join Real Madrid. This week, there were reports that Liverpool will reject £850,000, which is about €1 million, that Real Madrid were planning to offer to Liverpool, to allow Liverpool let Alexander Arnold out of his current contract early, so that he can join Real Madrid in time for the FIFA Club World Cup. Remember, Real Madrid is among the 32 teams that are going to be playing in the FIFA Club World Cup, that will be played across 11 cities. Across 11 cities in the United States, starting on, I think, June 13th to July 13th or July 15th. That is this year. It's the new format of the FIFA Club World Cup, and that new format, involves 32 teams from all across the world. We can see Robin Vlog. Hi, Robin Vlog. Welcome to the broadcast. Robin Vlog, you look familiar. It's like I've seen you here before. But kindly like the broadcast and also subscribe to the channel in case you're new. But you do look familiar. You do look familiar. But it's good to have you. It's good to have you on the broadcast. It's good. Guys, I hope you can still hear me. So, Mariam was saying, I'm feeling bad. I'm feeling too bad. She's feeling bad because Alexander Trent-Arnold is leaving the club. But like I said, Real Madrid is requesting or want that Liverpool, because usually player contracts end effectively on June 30th. So that means when the season ends, there's still about a month left on that contract. So that means that Alexander-Arnold cannot formally join Real Madrid without Real Madrid paying a transfer fee. So as a way to request Liverpool or to entice Liverpool into letting the player out of his contract early, they wanted to pay Liverpool 1 million euros in some form of compensation. But for me, I think Liverpool are just hanging on. I mean, acknowledge that he's leaving and let the player out of his contract early, let him make his dream move and join Real Madrid, because they want him to be part of that squad that takes part in the FIFA Club World Cup. Because like I said, again, we've spoken over time, Real Madrid have so many defensive problems. Dani Carvajal suffered an anterior cruciate ligament injury, so it's been out for a very long time. Eder Militao suffered a similar injury, returned, and then had a setback. Antonio Rudiger underwent surgery. David Alaba is out injured. Eduardo Camavinga is out injured. You've had so many players lost to injury, to the extent that it's been Tchouaméni played alongside Raúl Asensio, as well as Lucas Vázquez and Fran Garcia. Fran Garcia at left back, because Ferland Mendy was equally injured. So Raúl Asensio, Tchouaméni in the centre back pairing, then Lucas Vázquez at right back. At one point, we saw Fede Valverde being played at right back for Real Madrid because of injuries and that kind of thing. So really, Real Madrid have been troubled with so many injuries, and as far as their backline is concerned, and that's why they are desperate for Alexander Trent-Arnold to join them as soon as possible, to try and help remedy the situation as they usher in a new era of Xabi Alonso, who I think is going to have a very hard start for his career at Real Madrid, because one, we all know Real Madrid is a very, very demanding club. They're very demanding of their managers because they invest in their squad. We all know they have the big name players, the Mbappes, the Vinicius Juniors, the Jude Bellinghams, the Thibaut Courtois, and that kind of thing. So because his sort of spell with Real Madrid gets on to the offset of a tournament, that means that it robs him of a pre-season, because by the time the tournament ends in mid-July, they will have about 1 month before the start of the new season. Maybe 1 month and a half, but usually 1 month and a week, about that. So that means, how do you pull players? How do you tell players who have been part of a 1 month long tournament to come and to report early for pre-season, and you have a good pre-season with them, give them your new tactics and train certain things? That leaves you a bit short. So you get the feeling that he's going to have a hard start to his career at Real Madrid. And then it will also depend on what players he will have available to him. Dinhausen being one of those players, because he is joining Real Madrid, who are also interested in Tijan Riendas. They are also interested in a player at VfB Stuttgart. He's called Angelo something. Angelo Stiller. Yes, he's called Angelo Stiller. They are interested in signing him. He's a midfielder at VfB Wolfsburg, who in 32 appearances has only scored 1 goal and provided and provided 8 assists. He's a 24-year-old German international at VfB Stuttgart. So that is Angel Stiller. He's a player that has been strongly linked with the potential move to Real Madrid in the last 24 hours of transfer news. But we'll wait to hear more from that from the experts, whether that speculation does hold any water. But the reason as to why I think that the suggestions may be valid is because Xabi Alonso has been at Bayer Leverkusen for the last 3 years, having joined them in October 2022, and so he knows a lot about players that are playing in the German Bundesliga and that kind of thing. So let's wait and see what Real Madrid will have in stock in as far as player recruits are concerned, because they want to replace Luka Modric, they want to replace Toni Kroos, a player that left them last season and retired once he left Real Madrid and has since not been replaced. So they want those replacements, and they are looking. Excuse me. And one of the considerations for replacements was Bruno Fernandes of Manchester United, who is also being targeted by the Saudi Pro League clubs. Anyways, guys, thank you so much. It's been great having you on the broadcast. It's been wonderful, really. For those of you that have been with us for the longest of time, we are 2 hours and 1 minute in the broadcast. So much appreciation to you, Mariam Omoto, the Liverpool fan, to Robin Vlog, to Tamel Prince, and all the others that have joined us, that have been with us during the course of this broadcast. Let's look to do it again tomorrow, and because it's 1 a.m. guys in Ugandan time. I know it's probably 2 or 3 a.m. in India, and about 11 p.m. in the UK, and about that. So allow me to let you guys go rest, and let's do this once again tomorrow. But thank you so much for the love and support. Like I said, if you're new here, kindly do not leave without subscribing to the channel and help us and help our community continue to grow. There's a question before I sign out. Robin Vlog, yes, has answered my question. He's saying, Paul Brady says, "Are you gay?" No, I'm not gay. I'm from Uganda. If you want to know, I think you meant that as a joke from the journalist Kagwa Anjala. Anyways, Robin Rogue says, "I'm a Barcelona. You're a Barcelona fan, okay?" First of all, congratulations. Barcelona yesterday clinched their 28th La Liga title after beating Espanyol by 2-0. The goals scored in the second half by Lamine Yamal, and then very late on in stoppage time, I think by Fermin Lopez. So congratulations on that on the 20th La Liga title, but also on completing a domestic double, because you had already won the Copa del Rey after beating Real Madrid by 3-2 in the Copa del Rey final, but also you did beat up against Real Madrid by, I think, 5-2 earlier on in the season to win the Super Copa Hispana. So congratulations to you, Robin, a Barcelona fan. You say 2025, May 31st, PSG versus Inter. Which team will I be supporting? I don't think I'll be supporting any team. I'll just be enjoying football as a neutral fan, as a football fan, as a football fanatic. I'll be just enjoying the game in itself. I don't think I'll align with any team. I'll just be a neutral fan, the same way I was for that 2010 final between Bayern Munich and Inter Milan. Maybe the same way I was for all the finals where Arsenal has not played. But for everywhere Real Madrid has played, I've supported Real Madrid, and I'm glad that I've not been disappointed on those occasions. You say, friend, reply my question. I think I've answered your questions. I'm responding to them. You say you're from Nepal. Oh, Nepal. Yes. Nepal have one of the Ugandan billionaires in Sudhir Ruparelia as the designated consulate of Nepal in Uganda. Yes, that's what I know about Nepal. But I hope I've answered your questions. About the UEFA Champions League final, I'll be a neutral fan. I won't be rooting for anyone. And then congratulations about Barcelona's domestic treble. I mean, they've had a very impressive season, and that's why in the conversation for the Ballon d'Or this year, you have Lamine Yamal, you have Rafinha in that conversation. Two players from Barcelona. Although I think if there's any player that deserves it more than anybody, is it should be Rafinha. However, if PSG go ahead to win the UEFA Champions League, then I won't be surprised if the accolade is given to Ousmane Dembele, because they've already won the French League One title. They are into the finals of the French Cup, and then they're into the finals of the UEFA Champions League. So if you win the league and you win the UEFA Champions League and win a domestic cup in the French Cup, then clearly it would be only plausible that maybe Ousmane Dembele, who's had a very tremendous season at 27 years of age, will be quite impressive to see. You say Robin Vlog says my English no good. It's all right. It's all right. It's all right. No worries. No worries. You say I just try. Robin, no worries about English. English is a foreign language to most of us. It's not our native language. It's a language we learn as we go. Sometimes we get it right. Sometimes we get it wrong. No fuss. I never feel anything or bad or laugh or even feel any way about somebody who is not familiar with a certain language if it's not their mother tongue, because we all just learn the language. In Uganda, English is the official language, but everybody, depending on what region they come from, they speak their own language. I'm sure if Mariam was still here, she would tell us her local language. It may be different from mine, and that kind of thing. So no fuss about the language. You say I live now in Iraq for a job. Oh, you live in Iraq because that's where I work. Okay, how is Iraq? Is it now stable in terms of security wise? Is there normal fighting? Is it safe? How is it as a place to live? Guys, I keep saying bye-bye to you, but you keep holding me back with the questions. But I love to answer the questions. I love to answer the questions. So no worries. I just hope my microphone doesn't go off without me realizing. But yes. But I'll have to eventually close it down because it's a 1:15 here. But I thank you for all your questions. Actually, your name is Robin, not Robin. Sorry, I've been mispronouncing it. It's Robin Vlog. Apologies on that. Apologies on that. On the mispronunciation of your name. Apologies on that. So, but I hope you say yes, Iraq, no fightings. Yes, now very safe and not like before. Okay, that's good. That's good to hear. That's good to hear. Really. Anyways, I hope everything works well for you. Thank you for being with us for all the time you've been with us. I hope you do subscribe to the channel before you leave if you haven't already. Thank you so much. And that's all I can say. Thank you for the questions. Thank you for supporting and being here with us for the longest of time that you've been with us. Otherwise, guys, stay blessed. Have a wonderful night. I'll see you tomorrow in tomorrow's broadcast. As we'll be speaking the FA Cup final and maybe among other things. Of course, transfers won't miss. They'll be part of the menu. You say my name, your full name is Rabin Temang. Rabin Temang from Nepal. Okay, good to know. Good to know. At least now I know I have a fan from Nepal, from India, from Pakistan, and all over the place. But thank you so much. Thank you so much, guys. Have yourselves a wonderful night. Let's meet again tomorrow at between 11 and midday. thereabouts. Just turn on your notifications so that you can be notified once we go live. But be sure we'll be back to speak all matters football. Tomorrow we'll get more into transfers as well, depending on what news we'll have sipped through the night. A bit of speculation and gossip here and there. That one doesn't miss on our usual menu. You said time is now 1:16 a.m. Yeah, that's the time. It's the same time here. So have yourselves a wonderful night. Bye-bye.